tell me, pray tell, Cody Proctor, did you read The Secret? I'm just curious.
What?
Did you
Have I read The Secret?
That's the question.
Well, I've been busy lately. I've had some COVID go
last
through the
15
house.
years. I get it.
So
yeah.
it's on my New Year's resolution.
Plenty of time to watch Rocky IV, though. So. And we're live. Let's go. This is the Dos Padres podcast. I'm Major J, Sundance Kid right there. We're here covering Boston sports and so much more. Sundance, we took a week off, but we're back. We're fresh off the holiday break. We got another packed show. We're talking some Patriots. Taking on Jacksonville this coming Sunday, coming off a disappointing 2-game stretch. We're going to be touching on that a little bit. We've got a new top 5 as well. Worst New Year's resolutions. That should be interesting. Then we're actually going to close out with a new segment, our new 3 and Out segment. Anything goes. Each of us come with 3 hot takes and whatever is on our minds, sports, non-sports, whatever. Should be a lot of fun. Sundance, we took a week off. We're back. How you feeling? What you sipping on?
I am feeling healthy. I can only speak for myself in the household right now. 3 of the 5 residing family members in the house have been hit by COVID. So I and my oldest son have somehow skated through it. It's been an interesting, pretty terrible holiday season, if I'm being very honest with you. However, I am comforted by this fantastic Poland Spring bottled water
coming is key
down off the mountaintop right into my home to keep me hydrated and ready to go for tonight's podcast. What say you, Major J?
Yeah, not drinking water. Well, I take that back. I have water as a plan B. However, I am enjoying a libation. One you might be familiar with. Yes, it is another Little Fire.
Nice. Well done.
That smokiness.
I do plan to get over to a local brewery tomorrow in preparation of the pending holiday eve coming up. So I will try to make it over to a local brewery to spice things up here.
Well, you got to keep it spicy on New Year's Eve. Any big plans on New Year's Eve, or is it going to be drinking it out by 10?
I will stay up. As I have learned over the years, it is an important marker in the year traveling the sun with the wife. So it's important to stay up until the bell drops. We are not so old that you get to fall asleep at 10 p.m. These are important things. So I will be awake and I will certainly celebrate here to keep things safe. How about you?
I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to be here. I'm going to try to stay up till 12. Yep. My wife probably won't be up till 12. I do like to stay up for the ball drop. The ball drop.
Right.
The ball drop.
The ball drop. Did I say something different?
The bell. It's fine. We'll get some dings in there. Don't worry about it.
I am aware of that. I'm not that old, but okay, cool.
Little fire and bells. All right. So we're going to actually start off with a little something different this week as well. We're going to try something. We're going to try our rundown. Essentially, we're just going to go ahead. We know we generally been touching on the Patriots and kind of focusing on one of the Boston teams with each show. We're going to lead off with a little rundown, just a quick rundown of the week's headlines, notes, newsworthy items from the last week, amongst all the teams on the Boston sports scene as needed. So starting off with that, and we'll get into the Patriots after that. But, thankfully, there's actually not a lot to go over here because you've got the Sox and Major League Baseball in a lockout. Not much news going on there the last week.
No.
You've got the Bruins, who actually haven't played since December 16th. So that's 2 weeks. Thanks, COVID. But they weren't playing great beforehand. Before the play was halted, inconsistent team, no depth. Stars were underwhelming other than Marchand. Not much to talk about there. Nothing's been going on. They're picking up play again on Saturday against Buffalo. That's New Year's Day. And then, there is the Celtics, which ignites a bit of a fire between the two of us at times. Not a lot going on in the news as far as the Celtics go, other than they are 16-19. They've lost 3 in a row, 4 of 5, and it's quickly looking like a forgettable season at this point. I don't know if you saw this. I actually saw this the other night. They're actually the stat. They're one of the worst fourth quarter teams in the NBA. They're 27th in fourth quarter scoring differential. That's and as noted by every game, you see that they're in it in the fourth and they end up losing. They find ways to lose. That says it all. So I think at this point, we don't sit there and talk about them. This is a quick rundown, but I think as we flip the calendar into 2022, this team's going to be looking at having to make some trades earlier in the new year, whether that's Dennis Schroeder, which I'm fully on board with now. I didn't know before. Now I'm fully on board. Just trade him if you can get something, because he will not be here next year regardless. And this is not going to be a win season, or a winning season per se, as far as going deep into the playoffs. Get something for him, and then figure out if you're going to break up Tatum and Brown, or if you're going to give it one more shot to get some help to try to make a run, or what. I don't know. Any quick thoughts there, or you want to get right into the bats here?
I'm going to save it for my 3 and out. I'm going to save the majority of it for the 3 and out. Right. I will honor the incredible historical statistic that they have put themselves in through infamy by shooting something like 4 for 53 for 3-pointers. Yeah, it was something insane like that.
It was single-digit percentage in terms of,
It's a really horrendous. It was historically low.
That's terrible.
From the game. Was it last night against the Clippers or 2 nights ago? Either way, it was a bad loss. It was a game that a couple of talking heads had indicated they'll get back on track tonight. Watch what they do against the Clippers. I can't speak for what they're going to do after that, because this team's very inconsistent. But they're going to come out and they were embarrassed. A couple
Paul
nights
George
ago.
less Clippers, right?
Yeah. So there's not a lot to say about this Celtics team other than what I am going to say in 3 and out. So.
All right, noted. All right, so that would leave us with the most important team to us right now in the region, the Patriots. However, before we get into the Patriots, quick reminder, if you're watching us on YouTube, please smash the like button, subscribe, click the little bell to turn notifications on so you never miss a show. If you're listening on your favorite podcast provider, make sure to rate and review. We'd be indebted to you for life. We'd love you for it. And we just want you along for the ride as we blow up in 2022, but not really. But maybe. We'll see. I don't know.
The way 2021 was, we may actually physically blow up. We just don't know with the way.
I hear the little timer ticking in the background right now, actually.
This decade has been interesting so far.
To say the least. All right, Patriots.
So the NFL Network actually has a replay of Sunday's game on right now from the Bills and the Patriots,
which I'm not watching.
This is one of those games that's hard to go back and watch because of all of the missed opportunities. Not the fact that you really did get your butt kicked. I mean, the defense didn't show up in this game at all. So from that standpoint, they did, get their butts kicked, but boy, just a lot of missed opportunities, missed throws for Mac. The bad N'Keal Harry showed up a couple times. JC Jackson dropped a surefire pick 6 that would have put them up late in the game. This was a game of not matching your opponent's energy, not taking advantage of opportunities, and your defense just not showing up, period. And for all of those three things to happen, coming off a loss to the Colts, coming out of the bye, this doesn't feel very Patriots-like, but this is not.
It really couldn't go any worse than that, realistically.
Yeah, this is not your old Patriots, though. They are not led by the greatest quarterback of all time. They have a rookie quarterback. So I guess some of this is to be expected. I'm not going to come down too hard on the Pats. That is, unless they miss the playoffs. Then the hammer comes out. Let's see where this goes. Clearly, we got way too ahead of ourselves thinking they were going to take the division.
That was exactly the point I was going to lead into here, too, is that obviously, optimism was running amok in terms of after that 7-game win streak going into the bye. You and I thought going into this month of December, we were looking at this home stretch. You go 3-1. If it's next 4, you finish with 12 wins. You always have a shot at the 1 seed in a bye. Well, now you drop those 2. You're looking. I think Jacksonville's coming at the perfect time. I think. Yeah, can you prove anything to Jacksonville? Maybe not prove anything, but I think with these 2 teams, or these last 2 games rather, kind of just looking lackluster, showing deficiencies, I think getting a team like Jacksonville now is probably the best thing you could ask for, just to try to have a get-right game. I think I don't expect them to come out and absolutely destroy them, but I think they need to really set the tone and lay the wood a little to an extent and kind of get right here. It goes back to that. It was an earlier game early in the season. I forgot which one it was, but we were essentially saying, if I remember correctly, you expected them to win like 30-3, and it ended up being, was it the Jets game? It ended up being like 45 to, I forgot what game it was, but
yeah, it's the Jets.
Right. So it's like, all right, we could use one of those just to get right, reset, level set, get everyone kind of back in the right mind space to head into that final game of the season against Miami at Miami, which is always a tough task for the Patriots historically, going down to Miami to play. So,
yeah. So, really quickly, I have to, throw this out there. It jumped out to me after watching the Bills game, and it's only screaming at me watching this replay on NFL Network. Judon is not right. Something is. I haven't seen anything reported. I haven't heard anything from my sources.
Well, right after the game, he went on the COVID list. Bentley.
But he did go on the COVID list right afterwards. And listen, folks are landing on the COVID list with no symptoms. Some people are completely down and out. He may be of that variety.
Right.
I have to tell you, he is. I'm watching right now. He was out for 2 consecutive plays at the goal line in the late second quarter, and he was really looking gassed. This is the late second quarter. This is with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter, and he looks gassed. He's barely chasing the quarterback. So something's up here with Judon that because I feel like he drives the entire defense, and holy cow, our defense has just not been there for the last 2-3 weeks. We had all world defense going into December, and it's like all these guys are just on vacation or sick or injured and not talking about it. It's crazy. I don't really recall. It did happen one Patriots season, like around like maybe 14, 15, could have even been like 13, where the defense was great, and then like down the stretch it just died.
Yeah.
This feels like that a little bit. So that's what I'll be interested to see, because Jacksonville, as terrible as they are, they've won a couple games and
nothing to lose.
They've been in a few.
Yeah.
It's
a nothing to lose mentality. Now, especially ever since they fired Urban Meyer, that team's just kind of like, they may not be good, but they're certainly playing with a weight lifted off of them, it seems like. And
they beat Buffalo.
Yeah, so exactly. So who knows? You don't take anything for granted. All the more reason why you need to go out, not to take the game seriously, and try to stomp them, or at least I think it needs to be somewhat of a statement win, just to reset themselves.
I need it from the defense. The offense.
Sure.
You can see the offense getting right and putting up 31 points. I need to see the defense like pitch a shutout here to kind of reestablish. So this is going to be an interesting game from that standpoint.
Well, hopefully that's going to include Judon and Bentley coming off of the COVID list. I'm not sure. Actually, I'm trying to pull up the. I'm going to pull up the.
So listen,
practice report now.
So listen, you bring up a really good point, right? And we can close out the segment, but you bring up a really good point about the COVID list. So the CDC this week chops the quarantine time down from 10 days to 5, right? If you're an NFL head coach, let me ask you this question. If you're Bill Belichick and Judon tests positive for COVID Tuesday?
I think it was Tuesday.
It was Tuesday.
Or was it Monday? It was
Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
Are you practicing him with the other players on Friday, Saturday?
Right.
Are you playing him on Sunday? With the possibility that he infects other guys. And I did notice this with Belichick. He did answer a question this week about he answered a question and made very deliberate mention of vaccinated players, and then there's guys that aren't vaccinated.
Right.
So they've got them on their team. Maybe not a lot, but they've got them.
Right.
So
they acknowledge it's there. Right.
Really interesting. It's gonna be an interesting lead up to Jacksonville and an interesting game.
And I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm actually looking at the practice report here. I'm not seeing either of them. Maybe did they already test off of the list, or are they just not including them on the practice report here? You would think they would have been listed or did not participate. And neither Bentley nor Judon are here. So I'd have to look further into that. Then you got Jacksonville, who's got 2 guys listed.
Yeah.
But we're used to this. I think you're going to have the running game. We're going to have Ramondre Stevenson back, I believe. I think he was okay. So I think you're going to get the running game hopefully back to normal. Like you said, I think the offense by nature is just going to work itself out. And I don't expect, if they don't go and score 35 points, fine, but they should get back to some kind of normalcy in terms of mid to high 20s. And I think, like you said, the bigger issue is making sure the defense looks right, because if the defense is going to look right, it's going to look right against this Jacksonville team, who just as much as talented as Trevor Lawrence is, this Jacksonville team on offense is an abomination. And that's not including the fact they just lost arguably their best player, their running back.
Listen, if this is like a 27-19 game and Jacksonville puts up a couple touchdowns and a couple field goals, I ain't going to come out of it feeling great.
I'll be mildly disappointed at that point.
The Miami game. I mean,
if this team plays a Pats within a possession or even close or 10 point, I'm not going to feel good about that going into the final game. This is a game.
Couldn't agree more.
The defense needs to keep Jacksonville to single-digit points. Honestly, this should be a 24-7. 21-9, 24-9. If you give them kick 3 field goals or something, just I think if they score double-digit points, I'm gonna be like, okay, fine, we'll just take the win and move on. But you're not gonna feel great about it, especially again going on the road to finish the season in Miami, which is kind of cool. Next week, we'll kind of lead into that. Next week, we are going to be bringing in front of the podcast special guest. From Pro Football Network, Matt Canada, who is also a big Dolphins guy.
This couldn't be more timely. So very much looking forward to picking Matt's brain on all things Dolphins. And I've got a family member, a brother-in-law, shall we say, who is a big Dolphins fan, who told me about 8 weeks ago, my Dolphins are going to win their last 9 games. They'll be in the playoffs. And he went through their entire schedule. He said, we're going to beat this team. We're going to beat that team. We're going to struggle with this team, but we're going to beat them. Then we're going to beat this team. I mean, he went through the entire schedule. And it has absolutely happened.
Can you imagine having that kind
insane.
of confidence in your team coming off a 7-game losing streak?
He was dead. He was dead confident. I mean, it was just like he chuckled. He was like, "Oh, we got this." Flo's got it. He's on a first name basis with Brian Flores.
Wow,
Flo's got this. Don't worry. So again, this is a wild run by the Dolphins. You got to be impressed with Miami. So looking forward to that next week.
Like you said, try not to look ahead, but that's a big game. But yeah, no, I think we need a statement win this week, and hopefully the only thing I'm just going to throw out there and knock on wood, I just don't want to see, and you mentioned this earlier, the way COVID is running, like ravaging the league right now. Thankfully they did, like you said, scale back the testing requirements, time to get back on the field, back to 5 days. Within CDC guidelines, I think everyone just understands, okay, we just need to get through this, and etc. It does make it much more plausible that teams are going to be able to field their normal lineups a lot easier than they would have under the old guidelines. But still, we're still seeing, guidelines and timings aside, just seeing the physical, it means you're looking at a potential physical aspect of COVID hurting players in terms of just cardiovascularity and getting on the field and running reps and practicing, like with Judon. Like, even if he's feeling great, let's say they do the thing, they keep him away from everybody for the week and he's not practicing, or he's just conditioning.
I'd like to see him not play against Jacksonville. I'd really like to see them rest him.
For those exact reasons. Exactly.
If it's not COVID or a bad rib or a wonky ankle, he's tired. He is, and how could you not be? The guy has played at a Lawrence Taylor
breakneck speed, man.
Come on. So give the guy an extra week off. You're going to need him in Miami. You're going to need him in Miami. And if you can't beat Jacksonville without Matt Judon, what are we talking about?
Right. Yeah, agree. All right. So we'll definitely be circling back and talking about this more next week. Again, with Matt Canada, Pro Football Network will be joining us as well. So we're looking forward to that. All right, Sundance, we're gonna break it down a little bit, slow it down, and get into a little fun here. We're gonna get off the high stress level of Boston sports and have a little fun with our top 5. We're going to do a little top 5 worst New Year's resolutions. Lord knows there's plenty of them out there. We all make them. Well, most of us make them. Most of us break them. So I think it's fun as we are on the eve of New Year's Eve to talk about some of the worst ones that are out there, whether it's us or other people. I don't know. I want you to lead off. What's your number 5? What's your number 5 worst New Year's resolution?
Number 5 worst New Year's resolution is getting off social media.
That's gonna happen. God, that's you can make that. That's your 5. I can't wait to hear your 1 because that should already top both these lists right after that.
So
God,
I have to say. I have some good friends. One of them, a friend of the podcast. Torak.
Not that good of a friend.
Mr. Torak. Cal Torak. He jumped off Facebook, and he will jump off Facebook at times. I think he's only on Instagram right now. I really do admire those folks that jump off of social media for any extended period of time, and I'm talking about like more than 4 days, right? Because I mean, he will go off social media. But for me, I almost feel like it's a bit irresponsible in today's day and age because
irresponsible. Okay.
Well, there's so much news to be had through social media. Now, listen, I'm not saying you have to get all of your news from Instagram. Right. I'm not saying you have to get your nightly broadcast.
The world, in a way, is essentially functioning through social media platforms.
And so this is what I'm
traditional avenues, right?
Right, exactly. I'll give you a really quick example. Our mayor was one of the youngest mayors in the country when she was first elected here in New Britain. And she does a Facebook Live every single week. Can I tell you how valuable that has been in the last 18 to 24 months? Right. Do you think everyone has not tuned in at some point to these weekly broadcasts for here's what's going on? I mean, we're all sick of the pandemic. We get it, but you have to remain informed. And so
Right.
I don't love
That's the key.
I don't love the getting off of social media, taking a break from social media. You stay connected to family, you stay connected to friends, you get to watch awesome podcasts with, two dads that, talk sports and hijinks and all that. So listen.
You should link to that at some point if you can.
That's my number 5.
Okay. All right. My number 5, this one's pretty cliche, but my number 5 essentially is in the new year, I'm going to lose weight / join a gym. Now, I'm not being a jerk. I'm not being mean. I'm not trying to fat shame or anything like that. I applaud any attempt at bettering yourself. No issue with that whatsoever. The sentiment, I'm behind all completely. But come on. Unfortunately, a vast majority of these people, by February, let's say, I'm going to join a gym, etc. By February, you'll be wasting your money on a gym subscription that you're not using, and you're just out another $50 a month or whatever it's going to be. It's sad, but it's true. Unfortunately, it's just this is in no way propping myself up by any means, but I do see it year in, year out. January rolls around, a huge influx of new members come to my local gym. You can't move for a while or use anything you want to use. You get really angry and you want to set your hair on fire and run out of the place.
Gotta wait your turn to get on that rowing machine.
And God forbid, and they're new, so they're new and illiterate because they don't wipe down the machine.
It takes a few minutes to figure out the machinery, and you don't want to strain a muscle as you're easing the body into a brand new exercise.
You're being very polite. There's also the issue that they won't wipe down stuff either, which frosts my cookies. Anyway,
that I have no
tolerance,
good feelings for.
No. So but usually by February, all of a sudden they're gone and things free up and you're back to normal. So for that reason, because it's such a difficult one for people to stick to and everything, my number 5, just worst resolutions, just the whole was join the gym. It's like you could do it any of the other 11 to 12 months out of the year. Come on. All right, what's your number 4?
Number 4, stop investing so much time in sports. This is not a good New Year's resolution. In a time of a pandemic, you need sports. You want sports. It's a good investment of your time. I will say, there must be some balance of priorities with family, spouse.
Other types of entertainment, like, say, enjoying a nice local podcast.
There you go, local podcast.
Yep.
You've got to get in the Netflix. You've got to get in the fresh air, walks outside, all that good stuff. But there's nothing wrong with planning your Friday evening around a Celtics tip-off at 7:35, unless it's the 21-22 season.
There's also nothing wrong with a little bump and grind, from what I hear.
That as well.
I've heard that.
Not sure what that means in this context with the sports,
no.
But I think it's a good thing to invest your time in sports.
That's Al Horford in the paint, I believe.
Correct. I got you. Now I'm following.
All right, number 4. That's good. All right, so my number 4 is the whole I'm going to spend less and save more. Yeah. No, you're not. You're not going to do it. It's going to last 2 paychecks until you're bored or you're depressed one night and you're flipping through Instagram, whatever, and you see the tailored ads for you and those fresh pair of kicks that you want or need, and you end up clicking through and you buy 3 pairs. Next thing you know, you've got a whole order coming for you, or you've got, you see some stuff on Amazon and you get Amazon Prime and you end up dropping $100 and it's just not going to happen. It's bred. It's inbred in you. You love to spend. Don't waste your time trying to say you're going to stop. You're not going to do it.
Okay, I think that's modestly fair. There is.
I'm typecasting, or I'm generalizing, of course. Anyone can do it, but I feel like when I hear that, I tend to be like, yeah, sure you are.
No, I do hear you. Listen, there's a really good, save $2,000 by the end of the year, only by putting aside $6 in this paycheck.
Right.
$12 in this paycheck, $24. And it's like you do that and you follow it. And then it gets to be March and you're just like, you know what? I need that $87 in my top drawer. I got to go get pizza tonight. So,
or you need to get a payment plan to get a new TV to Aaron.
Aaron, we can rent to own this new 65-inch flat screen for only $69.99 a month.
Or something.
There you go.
You know, Mr. T tells me I need a television and it's only $80 a month for 2 years. I'm going to do it.
You've converted me. I'm a believer.
Hey, this is the effect I have. All right, what's your number 3?
Number 3, third out of 5. Third worst New Year's resolution. I'm going to write a screenplay. No, you're not. You're watching a lot of good television.
It's very specific, by the way. I personally never heard that one with my own ears, but I mean, if I did, I would think that. So sure.
So I think it's common for many folks. I'll walk that back. I think it's somewhat common for a few people to watch a lot of television up here in New England, in these parts, in January, February, and March.
Sure.
And wade your way through the good stuff, the okay stuff, the horrendous movies, and come out of that and say, you know what? I am going to write a movie. Look at all the crap that they're producing out here. I've got better ideas than what's on Amazon. Someone will buy into my idea. The discipline that I think
no
it
training
takes
whatsoever. Yeah,
the discipline.
Anyone can do anything these days. That's the thing.
Now,
everyone's an idiot.
Now that is true, however, because everyone is a YouTube star.
I was going to say,
TikTok,
you can find a YouTube. I'm sure you can find plenty of YouTube videos to teach you
all of these wonderful apps that are out there. But I don't think there's a single app on your iPhone that's going to help you write a screenplay in an hour. So that's my number 3.
I think that's fair. I think that's really fair. All right, my number 3 worst New Year's resolution is it's going to sound funny, but it's true. I'm going to be a better person this year. You're going to be a better person. You're going to be better. No, you're not. If you're resolving to do this to begin with, I applaud the self-awareness that you've looked in the mirror and looked inward and say, hey, I'm kind of a dick. But if you've been a dick your whole adult life, you can't just stop that with a calendar flip. It's, again, I just don't see it happening. Good luck with that. I applaud the fact that you have looked at yourself and recognized that's the case. Mm-hmm. Changing that just because the calendar changed, I'll believe it when I see it. Nice try.
I'm going to push back.
I'm very cynical with this list.
I'm going to push back
realizing
gently,
this in real time.
Respectfully, Major J. So I have 2 antidotes to that resolution being on your list. Number 1, how quickly we forget the wisdom passed on to us by Sylvester Stallone in Rocky IV. People can change.
Trying to say is that if I can change,
Я думаю, что каждый тоже изменился.
and you can change,
Вы можете измениться.
everybody can change.
Каждый может измениться.
If the entire country of Russia can change, I think people can change. So that's number 1. Number 2,
I'm just going to stop you there and say this goes back to the last one you mentioned about the screenplay, because that's
number 2, you're interrupting, not fair. Number 2, you did not pay attention to the wisdom of Manny Ramirez that he passed on in his tenure with the Boston Red Sox. Clearly, you did not read The Secret. As Manny indicated, we all should read The Secret, which unlocks that potential that we all have in ourselves. So, Ebenezer, I am going to have to politely push back, and that would actually be my 3rd. That would actually, a good old-fashioned Christmas Carol would be my 3rd piece of evidence, Your Honor, that people can change, and there is goodness within us all, and we can overcome those shortcomings
All right, Goody
And
Proctor.
truly,
Tell me, pray tell, Goody Proctor, did you read The Secret? I'm just curious.
what?
Did you read
Have
The
I
Se-
read The Secret?
That's the
Well,
question.
I've been busy lately. I've had some COVID go
Last
through the
15
house.
years, I get it.
So
Yeah.
it's on my New Year's resolution.
Plenty of time to watch Rocky 4, though. So,
I think I'll go for the Cliff Notes with Rocky 4.
was that before when you watched? Was that before or after Comrades of Summer? All right. So, what's your number 2?
Number 2, worst New Year's resolutions. More healthy eating. Now, I want to be careful with this one because I am an advocate of healthy eating.
Sure.
Morgan Freeman does a fantastic voiceover for a radio commercial where he leads it off and he says, "You're the picture of health."
But that may not be the full picture.
And he talks about, the importance of, good habits, eating well, drinking less, all that good stuff. But there's something to be said about eating really good food that's just not very good for you. I think that's just part of life, honestly. And so I think some people go a little overboard with that. Perhaps they look to cut out certain food groups altogether. And I struggle with that a little bit.
Right. Okay.
So, healthy
I'm on board.
eating. I'm in favor of healthier eating, but when you just try to flip the script so
don't be
abruptly,
unrealistic.
I think your willpower is just
Your body's
not
going to
that
reject
high.
the shit out of that. Yeah, it's not realistic. 100. I love it. I'm on board with that. You can actually match that one up with number 5. The whole we're going to lose weight thing too. It's like, all right,
Dude,
just,
great
let's
wall
not
of
be your.
Great wall of chocolate at PF Chang, or even the banana spring rolls with the coconut ice cream. If you haven't had that, I like to get both. Quite honestly, I mean I can't lie.
Flaunt it. Absolutely.
And you can always join the gym to work it off. So and see
not my gym.
Major J at the local gym.
Yeah, I'll high five
Next
you
week.
on the treadmill next door. Yeah, or I'll stare you down. Either way. All right, my number 2. This one. Number 2 is this year. This is the year. This is my year. I'm going out. I'm getting that promotion at work. No, you're not.
Oh,
You're not getting that promotion.
okay,
Good luck
okay.
with that.
Tell me more.
Generalizing. Some people will.
Yeah.
But I tend to feel like, maybe I'm just jaded by my own work experience. If you haven't done it already and you need to make it a resolution as opposed to just going out and getting it done, it's probably too late and your boss already knows you've maxed out your potential and what you're capable of. I just tend to look at that like, if you needed a new year to really prop you, just to give you that push to finally go and get that promotion, I mean, you're not a self-starter to begin with, and everyone knows it. You're probably not going to get it. Maybe you will by default because if the people around you who are applying are even worse. But I just, again, for me, it's kind of an eye roll sort of thing. Like, why wouldn't you just decide to go get that in June?
Yeah,
That's me.
It's a fair point. This is a very cynical.
I know. I don't know why. I feel like I was in a bad mood when I wrote this. It's weird. I'm usually such a happy-go-lucky guy too. It's crazy.
What?
Holidays does something to me. All right, what's your number 1? Number 1, top worst. Get out of here. Screw this. New Year's resolution.
Number 1 with a bullet was joining the gym. So I apologize to be quite so anticlimactic, but that was my number 1. A little bit of a cop out, but for all the reasons that you mentioned,
Yes.
I'll be honest with you though. You know me, I'm type A. I'm black and white. I'm fairly practical. So for me, and listen, I've got gym memberships. I get it.
More than one.
And I don't get to the gym very often. But I will say this:
You work off your PF Chang. Don't sell yourself short.
I will say this: you can do quite a bit at home for
Absolutely.
that much money, or really like $30 in bands
And one-time cost, right?
and maybe $60, $80 on a pair of running sneakers from Nike or Adidas or New Balance, and just get out and walk and use some bands, and that's really all you need. I have a friend that doesn't run or walk, doesn't use too many bands, just has a couple free weights, and is in tremendous shape. It's someone that you'd look at and say probably goes to the gym 8 days a week, and not at all. Not at all. Does it all at home, 5:30 in the morning, every day religiously. So that was my number one.
All right, great. I mean, can't argue with that. My number one is, man, if you thought I was cynical before, I'm realizing now this is going to really take it to the next level. It is, in the new year, I'm going to find a love. I am going to go out and I'm going to find the man or woman of my dreams, and I'm going to fall in love, and it's finally all going to happen and click. Okay. And maybe you will, but probably not. You're probably single for a reason if you're at that point and you're having this conversation with yourself. But hey, you keep trying, you keep putting yourself out there, scouring those dating apps, driving yourself crazy, trying to make it happen. In the end, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You just go live your life, be your best self, and eventually love will find you. Don't make it a New Year's resolution, because then you're probably trying too hard and you're gonna sabotage yourself. And, you know, there's certain people who I've heard throughout my life. Usually, the people who make this their resolution, I tend to think not that they're not capable of finding love. Everyone deserves to find love. Everyone should be loved.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. But it's usually like, dude, come on. Like if you're resolving, like, that's your one New Year's resolution to go out and, it's like, come on, like you're trying too hard. Like there's,
yeah,
I know. Rebuttal, go for it. I know. I'm realizing I am a cynical dick on the show tonight.
I don't know about that, but I would say this. There's a lot of folks out there that are a bit too career focused and really truly do not make the time for a relationship.
That's fair.
There's also folks that have struggled to meet people within the realm of this godforsaken pandemic, and
fair.
So I do think it's okay to get on a dating app.
Sure. No, I have nothing against dating apps. Absolutely. I think, I'll walk it back a little bit.
But I think your general point is this. So don't let me stomp on it. I think your general point is you can't force it. It has to happen naturally. It's not something you put on the calendar for January 1st, and then Cupid shows up in February, and you've got a match made.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Is the idea is you announce it going into the new year. You want it in time for Valentine's Day. You got 6 weeks to make that happen.
Well, I have seen some rather convincing movies on Hallmark that would convince you otherwise. So
you're
something to be aware of. You might want to check some of these resources out in your downtime. The Secret, watch A Christmas Carol. I know the holidays already passed, but I think you need a little bit of Christmas spirit that did not quite break through.
What about A Miracle on 34th Street? I've heard that's a good one.
Miracle on 34th Street is a good one.
Wow. Huh. Isn't it black and white?
You can watch that in color. I think it's been made like 7 times.
In color? All right. Well,
pretty cool.
All right. That was fun. That wraps up our top 5 worst New Year's resolutions. I think that's actually going to take us real quick. We're going to do our Padres picks update. Not much to talk about here. We're just going to give a little update as to how the last couple of weeks have gone, because I know everyone is out there waiting with bated breath to see where are they? Like, who took the lead? We got 2 weeks to go. I know. We held it off for a while just to make you wait. I strategically put this towards the back half of the show to make people sit through the Patriots and our worst result. It's all about keeping people's attention. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to bring it up. All right, week 15 and week 16. So week 15. I went 8-8. You went 9-7, and then week 16, I had a pretty good week. 12-4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You may have to double check it. But that's exactly the face you're making yet again here. You cannot believe that I blew by you with a 12-4 record.
Lost my edge.
So we're going into 2 weeks to go. I got a 3-game lead with 2 weeks to go. 120, 102, and 1. You're 117, 105, and 1. 541 win percentage. You're 527. So yeah, that basically comes down to we're going into these final 2 weeks, week 17, week 18. I've got a 3-game lead.
You did.
Which means nothing because, again, all it takes is one bad week on my end or one good week on your end, and it means nothing. The fact that we're within 3 games of each other 16 weeks into the season is kind of funny in itself.
Over 500.
Yes, major inroads there. And again, this is we've got hand delivery of beers for a good chunk of 2022 on the line here. I'm getting a little giddy. But you know what? Still 2 weeks to go, and it could be a cataclysmic collapse if I don't hold on to this. So that's where we stand there. Again, if anybody wants to track it, we do have. I'm going to put the link to the Google Share Doc that we use to track these picks is going to be in the show description. So if anyone wants to follow along or check it out, by all means, go check it out. See if you can stay over 500 as well. Again, we also do not. We're not gambling experts. We don't condone. And I condone gambling, but I don't condone having a gambling problem. Cue the 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
There we go. Bing. All right, so I think that's going to take us into our final segment, our 3 and out. I'm going to go ahead and lose my earbud, and then we're going to go ahead and get into our 3 and out. Again, this is new for the show here. Let me go ahead and remove that. And yeah, so essentially, like we said before, this is new. We're going to be going ahead and essentially 3 hot takes, or hot-ish, whatever you want to say. Basically, anything goes. Sports, non-sports, anything that's on our minds we want to throw out there, have a little fun with it to kind of close out our show. Sundance, I'm going to let you lead this one off as well. What's your number 1 on the 3 and out?
Number 1 on the 3 and out. I had no idea how big Juice WRLD was. I have to tell you.
Oof.
Do you know how big Juice WRLD was? Like, do you know how many streams he had? In the hundreds of millions. Do you know how many downloads he had?
I didn't know that.
In the hundreds of millions. Multiple
I believe he was a
times.
SoundCloud spawn, like talent, which I think was part of that. And I'm sure someone can correct me there because, again, 40-something-year-old guys talking about SoundCloud and it doesn't usually work. But let's be real. I just go by what my teenage daughter tells me. Probably same for you as well as far as the kids.
Agreed.
But
listen, I am absolutely blown away by such a musical figure that I did not lend nearly as much credence to as I should have. My oldest son is a huge Juice WRLD fan, was absolutely crushed when he passed away.
Right.
Bill Simmons has a fantastic docuseries out on HBO right now called Music Box. And so that's where I really learned a lot about Juice WRLD. And so he's got a featured.
That was good.
Yep, he's got a featured Juice WRLD one. I have to say, the entire thing is addled with his drug use, which he died from.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there is almost no singular scene in which he is not using drugs. I mean, and I'm not talking about smoking weed. I mean, he does that too.
Right.
But
sure.
It's absolutely, it's an eye opener, but I have to say, with this first 3 and out, first hot take, he was a generational talent that I don't think got nearly as much credit in our age bracket as he should have. I mean, he is up there with the Beatles, the Stones, Zeppelin, incredible. So that's my first one.
All right, I can't totally disagree with you on that. My exposure to him, obviously somewhat limited, but what it's been it's been good. I actually, the most exposure I've had to him was actually when I was still Ubering, and I'd always put on like a hip hop station driving up at UMass.
Yeah.
And Juice WRLD is constantly coming on and coming on and coming on, Post Malone and everything
incredible.
else. That alone kind of opened my eyes to a lot of some of the current talent in kind of current hip hop. And yeah, no, it's good stuff. All right, my number 3, or number 1, I should say, is actually, I'm actually staying in the sports world with this one. Well, sort of the sports world. Everyone knows R.I.P. John Madden, who just passed away, an absolute legend, icon. This is a really easy one, but I'm going to say let's get John Madden. Please, let's get him on the cover of Madden 23 next year. There's already been a lot of hype and a lot of talk about this through the Twitterverse and out there, but I'm going to jump on as well. He hasn't actually been on a cover of Madden since 2000. The last 20 years have always been a player, hence like the Madden curse. But you got to get. I mean, I would be shocked if he wasn't on there. But EA Sports, please get on that. Make sure you get. I'm sure they're gonna, when one of their reps hears the podcast, the first thing they're going to do is see if they can sponsor the podcast. The second thing they're going to do is go and see about talking to the reps to get Madden on the cover for Madden 23. So that's kind of a win-win. Side note. Getting Madden on the cover would also guarantee for a season at least that there will be no Madden curse to ruin a player's season because John Madden is not a player and he's dead. So that's my first 3 and out. Sundance, what's your number 2?
Number 2, 3 and out. Go watch Starved Rock Murders on HBO. HBO Max.
Rock Murders.
Or it could be Murders at Starved Rock. Starved.
It's like a mountain climbing thing?
Starved Rock. It is not a mountain climbing thing. This is one of those classic whodunit type docuseries. It's only 3 episodes, which I really like because the ones that go like 8 episodes and you get to the end and you're just like, what do you mean? She was guilty. She did do the crime.
After
you can't go that far in on these docuseries. This one's only 3 episodes. Again, my older son turned me on to this a few weeks ago. I didn't have the time to watch it, but caught some downtime with the wife today. And great, phenomenal series. Only 3 episodes. Check it out while it's on HBO Max. It is. I'm not going to spoil this for anyone. A lot of spoiling going on, especially with Spider-Man lately. I'm not going to spoil this one. I will just say that the coincidences and level of irony in this docuseries will just blow you away. And I'll leave it at that.
All right. I'm going to have to check that out as an HBO Max subscriber. Okay, cool. My number 2 is actually going to be a bold prediction for 2022. We're getting back into sports because I don't think I can let this one go. We glossed over this at the beginning. Not a lot to talk about the Sox right now with the lockout, etc. Once that lockout finally ends and we start having some action, some activity, bold prediction. It's almost the anti prediction of what you and I have been talking about for the last couple months with this team. I'm going to go out. I'm going to say it right now. They're going to prove that all of our ranting and raving the last couple of months about it's going to be wrong about how this team refuses to spend and how, I mean, it's been right to this point where they haven't, but they're going to basically give us all a big FU. They're going to go out. They're going to sign Carlos Correa or Trevor Story, move Bogarts to second in preparation of Bogarts leaving after next season. Book it.
I like it. Interesting. I hope it is spot on.
They're gonna floor us.
That's
and
a
like,
great prediction. Trevor Story, I'm not going to be blown away by. If they sign Carlos Correa, I'm gonna be blown away by that. That's going to be pretty cool. I hate Carlos Correa, but I think that's why I'd rather
Trevor Story because I can root for Trevor Story a lot easier. He's a good player in his own right, man. I mean, he's still got power and speed. I agreed. The general sentiment on Correa. I'm going to find it. If they sign him, I'm not going to be mad, obviously, in terms of what it does to the team overall. I'm going to find it. It's going to be a weird dichotomy, though, for me as far as emotionally, how, like, all right, I have to getting used to having to root for this guy. But that's my it probably could be dead wrong. That's my bold prediction for 2022. What's your third one here? What's the last 3 and out?
All right. My last 3 and out
Third
is shame on you, Boston Celtics. Shame on you. Shame on Brad Stevens. Shame on Coach Udoka. Shame on Tatum and Brown. Not shame on Dennis Schroeder. You're just a victim here. And not shame on Marcus Smart, but shame on the rest of all of you for wasting this season. Mike Gorman has only got so many more years left with us, as we know from Tommy passing away last year. This is awful. I cannot believe that you are going to waste one of Mike Gorman's final years with this crap that you're putting out on the court right now. And it is absolutely unwatchable. There's finger pointing, there's sniping, there's terrible shooting, there's no defense. You seem like you have a pretty talented coach who can't get these guys all on the same page. You've got 22-year-old guys getting injured and going out for 6 or 7 weeks at a clip. This is awful. Shame on you, Boston Celtics, for giving me really no reason to tune in other than checking in on the stray home game that I get to listen to Mike Gorman, because at least he's brutally honest, and he is actually he's a legend.
He's an institution at this point.
He's an institution at this point.
Absolutely.
And what the Celtics have put us through this season is just, it feels like the Patriots last year. It feels like, no, we know what we're doing. No. Just watch.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's going to be much on the other side of this one.
Nope. Yep. 100%. Can't disagree with any of that. All right. So my third down on the 3 and out, my last one here. I'm going to move back out of sports into just real life stuff generally. 2021, rather. I'm not going to miss it for many reasons, as many of us will be. But one of the biggest reasons I'm not going to miss it for, I'm just ready for New Year, because this year is going to go down as the worst year in driving history. People either lost complete brain function due to COVID and forgot how to drive responsibly, or they've gone full DGAF mode and drive like complete a-holes all over the place. Either way, this year's been absolutely off the charts with people driving on the roads, and I'm over it. I'm done with it. Please bring in a new year, and please, God, let people remember and learn how to freaking drive again, because it's crazy. Okay.
It's interesting. No, I have to throw this in there. It's crazy that we didn't compare notes on this before the show. Like, we didn't know what our 3 and outs were going to be. And it's interesting that you mentioned this, because I've complained about this frequently in my household, and my wife only affirms it. Just 2 hours ago, our oldest daughter called. She was on her way to Stu Leonard's, and she was just like, I have to tell you, I think people are driving deliberately mad because, and I mean like insane, because they just want to end their lives to escape 2021. Like, that's why,
whether it's consciously or subconsciously, yes,
it's just
insanity.
You cannot escape it. I'm teaching my 17-year-old daughter how to drive right now, and every time we go out to drive, I am telling her to look in 7 different directions. Stick your head outside the car and look up. Let's make sure there isn't a piano falling out of the sky, because it is just insane out there. It is absolutely
you're taking your life in your own hands every time you get behind the wheel.
Horrendous. This is the worst time to learn how to drive.
And you and I both know we are great drivers, so we know we are not included in this. Nothing is our fault. It's all your fault out there.
My wife doesn't think I'm a great driver, but there's a lot of us out there right now.
So tailgater. That's right.
I do hail from Massachusetts, so the roots are strong.
Yes, and you like to kiss some bumpers. But that's a story for another day. All right, I think that's pretty much gonna wind down the show at this point. Just a reminder, if you're watching us on YouTube, again, please like, subscribe, turn notifications on so you don't miss the show. Our audio is on most main podcast providers. If you're listening, again, please rate and review. We'd love you for it. If you want to follow us on social, if you're not already, it's 2 Padres Pod on Instagram, Twitter, and even TikTok now. Imagine that, Sundance. Yes, we are on TikTok. You were super excited about that. I know you're pumped. We're also on Facebook, the Dos Padres podcast. I know it's elaborate. Who would have thought? Again, just all part of our world takeover. Please just come join us for the ride. We're on our way, scratching, calling, inching our way to 100 subscribers. All right. So then we're back next week. We're going to review some Pats and Jags, as we talked about. We're going to preview the Week 18 game against Miami at Miami. And again, as we mentioned before, we're bringing in a friend of the podcast show, special guest Matt Canada from Pro Football Network. So make sure you are back next week to check that out. That's Sundance Kid. I'm Major J. We're the Dos Padres. Hasta tus sueños. We are out.